All right, hi. This will be the beautiful Geminis. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully, it's a beautiful reading for you this month. I feel like it's going to be good. I feel there's some good energy in the air about August. So I hope you checked in with your reading last month. I'm going to stay on top of all of our intuition development skills. So each month we'll try and expand the depth and the awareness around the reading that we're giving. The reading will be purely from the Stalk Your Shadow deck, which means it's an all shadow reading, which I think you guys can handle. Hey, that's why you're here. You're wanting a bit of that depth and that grit and, things to actively work on rather than just feeling reassured. It's obviously a personal preference if you can and want to engage in shadow work. And, I think duty of care would say you don't have to force yourself into shadow work if that's not what you're feeling. But I think there's a lot of us that are just aligned with wanting to address things comprehensively, wanting to acknowledge light and dark, yin and yang, wanting to move, particularly through parts of our personality that we feel might be stuck. I don't think we want to go into toxic positivity or toxic negativity. Shadow work can kind of hold us in this paradigm of, or a reality, which is very about what's real for you, that honors that we're here to experience polarity. We are not supreme beings here to change the planet at all times. We're also not terrible human beings for just experiencing life the way that it is. So having that neutrality is really important. And I know, Gemini, that you're very good at balancing, at accepting two sides of the equation, going into light and dark themes, not as a hindrance, but more as an exploration. So let me honor that for you. We're going to do one card is an anchor card. Now, I like anchor cards mainly because Ankara means anchor. But it holds us in this parameter of, before I deliver all the information about the other cards, the anchor card is remember what's important here. Remember the training program that you're going through this month. So the anchor card creates the higher, bigger picture, bird's eye picture, whichever perspective you want to take. And then I want 3 cards. What do we need to do in our 3D lives? Where's the pivot point in 4D? And how do we acknowledge our 5D selves? So the conversations I've been having last month or the last couple of weeks are very much based around that. I don't know if you saw the video on the basin of safety, which is my lecture about the root chakra, the base chakra, that I teach in nearly everywhere. I teach that conversation. So through my workshops, through Patreon, through our course, Synaptic Evolution, and we have a jumper. We will acknowledge that. And I think no matter how quickly we ascend, no matter how much we yearn for higher states of awareness, no matter how big our dreams are for ourselves, we have to acknowledge the 3D. We have to ground ourselves. We have to increase our resources. We have to feel safe and calm first before we apply pressure, before our dreams get bigger, before we move through the layers. So that base chakra, I find, is greatly undernourished and misunderstood as well. And that just came from working as a Chinese medicine practitioner, then training in esoteric acupuncture, which is very much about crystal pendulums over the chakras and doing different styles of acupuncture with sacred geometry and things. And it may have been what I was attracting, but every client I worked on for a couple of years had very deficient base chakras. And they were creative, evolved, spiritual beings. They were talking well. They were trying to solve problems. They were community minded, but this sense of grounding and safety and security within themselves was just not there. And I was like, oh, this needs more attention. This needs more than just a session. This needs to be a full understanding, which then brought the understanding in from my guides to me so I could embody it, acknowledge it, figure it out for myself, work on my clients with it, experiment with it, and then come into teaching it with those methods. This is really cool, Gemini. So pheasant's been coming up a lot for people, actually. The pheasant says, what we're working on for you, what the training program is this month is, I want you to surround yourself selectively. I want you to surround yourself with people that see the beauty in you, that see you as awesome. They love your presence. They light up when you show up. They love what you're doing. They can see what you're about. If we call this soul tribe, which is an interesting phrase, but we're looking for the right people, right? The pheasant says what you're going to go through this month and the preparations that we're going to get you ready for are holding you in this training program that says, does your inner circle reflect the beauty that you want to see in the world and that you want to see in you? So do you have the right people around you? Are you influenced by the top 5? If we become, or if we adapt many of the mannerisms and the behavior patterns and the thought belief systems of the top 5 people that we spend our time with, who are those people and how is it looking, Gemini? How is it looking? I would prefer you to distance yourself from toxic people until you've done the healing. Surround yourself with the right people, and that can be content. That's okay. I do that all the time when I am wanting to develop something, a skill set, an idea, a belief system, and I find someone's content that is really knowledgeable and on point for me in that area, like the training program. I will surround myself in that content. I'll also get rid of anything else. So when I'm looking for those upgrades, I'm not looking at unrelated content. So I don't really mind about what that person's ranting about and the beautiful dogs that are falling into the pools, even though that's cute. It's more like, if I'm going to consume content, I want it to be this person every day or this person every week, because it's still aligned with where I'm trying to get to. So don't get stuck in, oh, but I don't have the right people around me and I don't know anyone in my area and I don't have this and I don't have a partner. More like, well, if there's space there, selectively bring ideas and influences closer to you and have that as your influence. So is there a podcast that you love that makes you better at everything? You listen to an episode and then you're actioning things and you feel more educated. And so that is an influence. Pheasant is saying beautiful environment, beautiful people, beautiful influence. What's in your inner circle? What's influencing you day to day? And how can we shut out some of the noise of people, places, environments, things that are not helping you to create the reality that you want? Right, so this is when we're really honing in and making sure that everything around us is beautiful and everyone around us can see our beauty, right? And it also is a call to more beauty. So are you looking your best every day? Are you acknowledging your health? Are you working out? Are you doing all those things? So the pheasant can come in and say, look, I'm working on myself and I'm trying to make my environment, myself look as beautiful as possible so that you will see that, so we will frequency match, right? Because the way that it works is, if we, no matter what you got going on during the day, if you dress accordingly and you dress well and you look after yourself and your skin's looking good and all those things, and you go out to interact with the world with that level of, this is who I want to be today, hopefully we frequency match with people, places, environments, nature that go, oh, that's what you're about. That's really cool. I love that. Or I really, I love those colors. I love what you got going on. Pheasant brings in that idea. Very beautiful bird can be quite ruthless in its pursuit, right? So remember that. That's how we bring in soul tribe as well. So making sure that you're expressing yourself well, making sure that you are in the right circles. And then when you have people close to you that are the right influence, that are supportive, that see the beauty, see how you're striving, see how you're doing things, then we invest there. That's a beautiful green light to say, hey, I'd love more of you in my life, and I hope that you're loving what I'm bringing too. And why don't we keep each other in it? Why don't we create beauty together and help each other, rather than focusing on there's not enough people and not enough things to do, or there's too many people and too many things to do. Select and shift accordingly. Now, you're going to have to go through some shadow to get there, because sometimes we're attracting people from an unbeautiful place because of a program inside. So I've definitely done this at times in my life. I have attracted people that are broken, that are not actioning their own change, that are falling apart. And I've decided that I'm going to draw all my self-worth from helping them. But it can be like this overgiving pursuit, and all they can really see is negativity around them, because that's what they're breeding inside. So that will slowly degrade my frequency, because, and the way that connection often works is, if they're not bringing self-responsibility and honesty and things to the equation, then my vibration is likely to come down if I'm not willing to prioritize my own journey. I hope that makes sense. So figure out where you are with people, figure out where you want to go. Like, say you want everything in your area to be more beautiful. So this is a divine feminine idea. I want my house, my garden, myself, my body to be an expression of beautiful that is authentic to me. So that could just be minor shifts. That could just be making sure there's more color in your life, or making sure you're in nature more, making sure you're smelling the flowers as you go on a walk, all this sort of stuff. And who in your life is vibrating at that as well? Who is dedicating themselves to that beauty? And are there some beautiful women around you that are dedicating themselves to that beauty too? Because it seems like it's got a divine feminine aspect to me. So that can be divine feminine within. So for the males in the room watching the replay, that's also, are you tending to that feminine within? Are you allowing things to be beautiful? Are you allowing delight in feeling and making a room in your house as beautiful as possible just for you? Are you tending to that? Are you nourishing and nurturing so that everything signals to you the beauty that's in the world, rather than it signaling to you toxic masculine, which is like, get things done, don't worry about how it looks, make sure you hit those targets, all this sort of stuff. So bring in that richness and that beauty and that abundance. In the 3D, we got to make sure that we don't have too much of a monkey mind going on. So what are your distractions? What is not adding to that inner circle idea? Where are you distracted? Who are you distracted with? What is not aligning you to the ultimate plan? Where are you spending resources where you don't really need to be? You're being guided somewhere. So you're being guided to really hone in on this sort of beauty relationship in a circle idea, right? So monkey comes in to say, whatever's not aligning with that right now, let's just take our eyes off it. Monkey is playful, works well in groups, has a tight family unit, is very resourceful, but can also be mischievous, distracted, and can be can take pleasure in that naughtiness. So your 3D world is saying, is it pleasurable or is it a distraction? Are you avoiding something? Is it a lack of focus? Where is the inner circle? I'm not saying don't have fun with people. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, are you goofing around with the wrong people, where you could be having uber amounts of fun with the right people? And that's environments, that's content as well. So like I said before, we can spend 6 hours a day scrolling through meaningless content, which is still hitting our consciousness and our awareness, or we can change our algorithms and consume meaningful content for where we're trying to go, right? So sometimes, yes, we need to zone out and enjoy and just come into relaxation, but make sure that's beautiful too. So there's beautiful ways to do that. And there's toxic ways to do that. So let's just clean it up a little bit, I feel, in the 3D. Where are you distracting yourself with things that don't need to be important right now or aren't actually important? Maybe they're meaningless. Maybe it doesn't have substance for you. There's something coming through with this beautiful pheasant idea. Because if we can transition through 4D, which is really calling you to come into your power with the bear, coming to your power, notice that there's natural cycles, there are rest and hibernation cycles, and then there's power cycles. So the bear is saying we have to navigate our energy based on those natural cycles. You are not an energizer battery. You are not a robot. You're not meant to go at the same pace every single day, all the time. We're human beings, we have physical vessels. So that basin of safety conversation will really help you to understand that. Where are my resources? Therefore, what do I have, right? If your resources aren't super high, you probably don't have all the energy and time and money to put into the right relationships. So the monkey's really saying, well, where's our energy going? If I had the right people around me, which could inspire me, advise me, support me, influence me to go out there and approach my dreams and get to my goals, then what am I doing that's not that? Am I stuffing around over here? Am I not honoring that there is growth cycles and then there's integration cycles? And where am I at, right? Go back into the heart space, because the bear has this incredible power and this huge amount of energy, very protective force. So when the bear comes into your life, like, you're sweet, you don't have to worry about anything. You got a bear with you, but that bear has to hibernate for that amount of power. It knows the cycles. It knows for that amount of power, it has to go down into hibernation, and that's okay. So where are you at, and where's the skittish energy coming from? Because if the skittish energy is there, usually that is because resources are getting low. So as resources get low, nervous system goes into dysregulation, which means you get more tired and wired. You start getting nervous. You go into anxiety states. Then we probably hit depression because your body's starting to shut down. And then we're in a place that we don't have resources. The idea is that, yeah, I'd love beautiful people around me, but I can't even get out of bed, right? So number one is cut the distractions, build on your resources 1% every day by hacking your habits. Say no to everything that's not you getting better, more well, more nourished, and more grounded. Maybe you're in hibernation phase, where the world is a bit too much right now because you've got to really bank in on the resources. So when you're in power phase, you can feel it in your body. You're feeling determined, motivated, inspired, creative. Then you go back out into the forest and you have that huge energy. So there's cycles here. Just be mindful of that. In 5D, when you acknowledge that, when you get there, when you're dancing in that, when you've addressed these, I want you to look into any dodgy society conditioning that is in the way of you creating that inner circle around you. So the bat comes through and say, you're actually terrified of something that you don't need to be terrified about, but society has conditioned you that way to fear this inner circle that you know is going to help you grow, right? A lot of people have this like, oh, but I'm not good enough, and like, why would they want to hang out with me? That might not be completely yours. What about finding mentors and coaches and being in peer relationships and having good people around you and good friends and people doing awesome things? What about the fact that they really need your skill set and they need your energy and they need your vibe? You know, particularly when you start controlling your distractions and building your resources so you become more powerful, then you can really offer a lot to those people and be a big part of that inner circle and have that beauty around you for everyone's benefit. Now, the bat is really saying, like, what are you afraid of? Where did that come from? Is that yours? Is it real? Do you want to buy into that? Or do you just want to destroy and uncreate that and move on to your own conditioning, right? Is it your mum's? Is it your grandmother's? Did they have friends? Did they have an inner circle? If the answer is no, well, maybe you're going out there slightly awkward, going like, I really need these cool people around me, but I don't really know what to do. or maybe your inner circle's gotten too big and you need to cut it down. Let's just be mindful that a lot of conditioning is going to come up, but in a 5D awareness state, you should have the resources be like, hang on, where did that program come from? Is it mine? Can I do anything about it? Would I like to keep it? Would I like to refine it, delete it, start again? And make sure that anything you fear is just being acknowledged and listened to, because it's usually very intelligent, but because we react to it, we move away from it because it's scary, we don't actually get the knowledge. So the back comes in to be like, this is juicy information. I want you to know about it. But it can be a little bit scary because you actually have to look at it. Your jumping card was the fox. So let's be mindful that we can use our intelligence here, but we don't want to fully come from an intelligence place. We're still coming from an intuitive place. So use your mind well and focus it in. On the 3D level, there's too much monkey mind going on. So what do we do for monkey mind? We increase resources. We sleep, we eat, we structure our lives, we get 1% better every day. And that constant chatter will start to lessen and lessen and lessen, right? So don't forget to meditate and practice stillness and move your body and like move the energy into sustainable, resource-rich places rather than getting rid of it all over the place without any kind of return on your investment, right? So always take it into your value systems, into your positive affirmations, into your habit forming, into things that nourish you, not externally, right? Giving it away to other people, giving them your focus, your attention, and not really knowing what's going on. So I feel like there's a little bit of extra energy around the fox that wants to come through. Oh, okay. So we can be switched on in the mind, very intelligent, very sharp, very clever. That's the fox's genius. But we can also be focused and sharp without needing to know actually what's going on. I think there's this dichotomy, this strange paradox in the mind that says, when my mind is active and switched on, and when I'm in my genius, I have to figure everything out. I think we can be in our genius and know not much. So it's like, use that sharp intelligence and that cleverness that it might be a little bit cunning as well, to be ready for when you need to figure things out in the mind, but not reliant upon. So it's like the fox's energy is ready to go, but I don't want you to rely on it. We're still trying to get that inner circle in. So when the inner circle comes in, you don't want to outsmart anyone. You don't want to teach everyone what you've learned. You don't want to be in that authoritative place. You just want to be in a neutral place that is ready to use your mind, but doesn't use that to condescend anyone. So there's like a little warning in there somewhere. So once you realize what your conditioning is and you find the right people and you bring them in, be authentically you, but rely on your other senses as well. Use your intuition, and your intelligence is just one tool in the toolkit. It's not the only tool. And generally, foxes can get, fox birth totems, they can get into the dicey territory of, well, I know I'm intelligent, I know my mind is busy, but if we use that alone as our primary method of self-worth, that means they can become a little bit entitled, if you will, to say, well, I need people on my level and I need people to be as smart as me and as intelligent as me. Actually, probably what you need is people around you that have different genius. So people that have strengths that are not your strengths and challenge your weaknesses and complement, right? This is not a power dynamic. It's more like, well, if we had a pheasant and a fox and a bat and a bear and a monkey in the same room as awesome spirit beings having a discussion, they would all bring their own level of awareness and their own skill set. It doesn't need to be one is better or lower than the other. I mean, look at the bear. He would win in any fight with all of these totems, but he's underground for 6 months while the others are working. So everything's in divine balance. We just have to find that balance around us that gets us where we're going. So I really hope that resonates. Come and hang out in Patreon and play in there. We do readings and coaching sessions and 21-day challenges, and we've got book club and everything. It's a really beautiful community. I hope to see you there. Much love. I love you so much. Bye.